Hello and welcome to another episode of the Course in Miracles inspired podcast, May the Course be with you, where I, Leon Joel Russell, get to speak to the people that I love about the system that we love. Myra, hoe gaat het?
It's going very well, thank you. I love your Dutch. Hoe gaat het met jou?
Ja, ik ben heel goed, dankjewel.
Oh, heel goed.
Mag ik jij iets vragen?
Natuurlijk.
Spreekt u vreemde talen behalve Nederlands?
Een beetje Duits en een klein beetje Slovaaks. But we should speak English because other people listening to this we've just been asking each other how we are and about our languages. Otherwise, people will say, "Why are you talking other different languages now?" Dutch is the largest language, English. But I was born in America.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I left when I was about 20 years old, so I've been here forever in Holland. And it's only in the past few years through the internet that I've been speaking more English again with the English-speaking groups. Yeah, and so sometimes I forget English words, but I'm a Dutch citizen, and so, well, that's the paper I have, Dutch citizen. But I'm a citizen of everything, of the world. Yeah.
Are your parents American then?
They were American, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Nice. So you and I know each other through Facebook. I love your posts. You know, you do so many beautiful posts every day, along with loads of other people who love your posts. And one thing that you did which really struck a chord with me was your Miracle Network guided meditation. I think maybe earlier this year or even last year.
A year ago, yeah.
Yeah, that was incredibly powerful. Really powerful. It really knocked my socks off, that did. And I also really loved your recent interview with Bruce Rawls, who...
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw that. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, Bruce and I know each other in America 25 years ago. A couple, they organized a school for A Course in Miracles based from Denver, Colorado. And when Corona time came, that school just stumbled on my path, so I joined the school. And Bruce was already a member, so we've known each other now in school for about 4 years. We have several meetings each week. It's a very active school. And it's a school based only on the teachings of Ken Wapnick.
Perfect.
So it's a beautiful school.
Tell us a bit about your week, because I know when you and I were coordinating today, we had to choose a time slot because you are very active. So tell us all a bit about how you conduct yourself.
Well, you know, teaching and learning, giving and receiving, all the same. And at a certain point, Jesus says, well, teach what you want to learn when you want to teach. You know, get out there, live it, apply it. And that happens just by itself. And so what happened? First, all of a sudden, I inherited a Facebook page, the Dutch Facebook page. The man wanted to stop, and he asked me to take over. I said, well, okay, I have to always feel first.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll do that. Then all kinds of groups started. I'm going back now 6 or 7 years. It was the beginning of Zoom, at least for me. I had never heard about Zoom. Okay, we're going to go Zooming now. Okay. And well, Zoom seemed to be very welcome. Many people like to Zoom together and be like this with our pictures and our talking together. And that develops from the Facebook page 4 groups each week.
Wow.
Monday evening, Wednesday evening, Friday evening, Sunday morning. And then I was busy. I had met Kate Greaves on Facebook.
Mm.
That was in the 2017. And that was the year that the other course came out, the purple one, the purple book with the annotations, the full annotations from Robert Perry. And Kate wanted to read some of that. She wanted to read the essays. And I thought, well, okay, I'd like to read the essays because that's something different.
Mm.
So I joined Kate's group. And well, I became her co-host. All of a sudden, I was in training by Kate. I didn't know that was going to happen, but that just happened. And all of a sudden, when Kate said, "Well, I'm stopping with this group," I inherited that. I inherited Kate's group, and then Kate's group and her page on Facebook. It was based on Australian times, and it's still going. And I do it every Monday. Is a group based on European and Australian times.
Okay.
But then there were all these Americans. They said, "Yeah, but we're sleeping in the middle of the night. Can't you start another group?" Okay, so it just happens. You don't plan anything. It just seems to be the role. It's okay. This is what I'm supposed to be doing now, and I accept it gratefully and thankfully. And so now there's the Happy Learner group came into existence. And 3 years ago, and that's based on European times and American times. So I have an Australian group and an American group and some Dutch groups. And so it's very busy. So I just keep living the course.
Amazing. And how do you decide on what you're going to talk about, either daily or weekly?
I don't decide. I have so learned, it's so beautifully, and I'm sure you have those experiences too, that my morning always starts with, "Good morning, Holy Spirit." There's so much right-mindedness. When this body wakes up, I don't have ego thoughts.
Lovely.
Just not there. It's always, "Good morning, Holy Spirit," and the agenda for today. And you're in charge of absolutely everything. And there are some things coming up, and I am just trusting in your guidance and your inspiration. And I'm open. My mind is totally opened for you and nothing else. And then it just happens. Maybe it'll be something on Facebook. It might even be something that you write, or that Lloyd Lapp writes, or that Kate writes, or that Keith writes, or Luigi or someone. And I'll read it. I say, "That's it. That's the topic. That's it." And then I can go with the topic with what I've already learned about the course. Oh, this piece, that. Oh, I remember. Oh, that lesson. Oh, yeah, that chapter. Oh, it just happens.
Mm.
It just all happens.
And
I always,
was that an evolution? Was there a time? Because I know, the podcast's only been going for a couple of years, but I know initially I used to do a lot of research on who was going to be the guest, and I would get some questions together and talking points, and sometimes we'd follow those paths, and then other times we wouldn't get onto some of it. But as times evolved, I don't do that anymore. I just sort of come empty. But I wonder, did you, to where you're at now and how you've
yeah,
just described that, was that an evolution as well?
yes, yes.
Mm.
Yeah. That's the progress. That's what's just happening. The mind is shifting.
Mm.
And I don't know. I just trust the Holy Spirit. I have total trust. I've gotten through that development of trust, the total trust. Yeah.
And how long's your journey with the course been?
I have to think 35 years.
Nice.
And of course, a lot was in preparation. I had to
Sure.
go through what everybody goes through. What kind of book is this? But still, there was some kind of magnetic pull.
Mm.
Love was calling to love.
Mm.
and you didn't know what it was at that moment, but even though you didn't understand what you were reading, this is my course. This is for me. This has been given to me. This is the gift to me. This is for me. Even though I went through all the difficulties that everybody went through, of course. And I think at least for 15 years or so,
Yeah.
I really thought, Myra's sleeping. Myra needs to wake up. Myra needs to be enlightened. Myra needs to do forgiveness. So, oh boy, after about 15 years, when that big penny fell on my head, this book is not about Myra. Really, read what's there. You are not broken. The real you does not need to be fixed, but you are not who you think you are. And that was that phase of the development of trust unsettling. That was a very unsettling moment when it really hits. This is the message this course is telling me. I am not Myra. I am not this person. I am not a body. And when that really hits home, that can be very unsettling, which is why he even says in that section, that can take a long time. And I think most can relate to that. The disengaging with our false identification takes a very long time. And now, but then, the ego is very busy after 15 years telling me how a failure I was and how awful it was. And I don't hear much of words what the Holy Spirit says, but one time there was one word and I didn't know where that came from, and it really got my attention. Preparation. Preparation. And then it hit. He was telling me the 15 years was all in preparation of now the next part of my journey, and that I will remain in preparation every single day, and that the Holy Spirit's in charge now, and he is preparing the next step of my journey, of which I do not know, but it is already known because it's already happened. And I love that. I love being able to say this whole form of spirituality transcends all my human capabilities. You get it, but you can't really understand it.
Yeah, and that keeps us in that flexible sort of state every day mentally, to just be open to knowing that you can be taught and you can be told things, rather than the closed circuit of ego mindset, of this notion that you're in control and you know everything.
That was a statement of Ken Wapnick's that I liked. In one of his workshops, someone else was talking about, yeah, but I have to stay in control. I have to be in control. I'm so afraid of losing control. And what was Ken's answer? Don't worry about it. You can't lose your control. You know why? You never had it. You gotta just love Ken with things like that.
Absolutely.
But then going back to this whole process of disengaging with this identification here, Jesus is very clear, even in chapter 2, we don't deny the body. But then he gives us the paradox. Don't deny the body, but don't identify with it. So what's in between, it has to have a whole new meaning, a new goal. And everything in between is for forgiveness. That's how I can bridge the paradox together. Don't deny it. Use it for everything. The body will always let me know what's happening at the level of my mind, always. And then that can be forgiven. And then I no longer identify with whatever's going on in that ego part there. No. And then what I learned is let the Course do the work. It is a mind training program. And Jesus knows when we practice the lessons, when we step back, we go above the battleground every single time. It's brilliant. We are disengaging because the one that's looking is no longer connected with that which he's looking at. So sometimes we're not even aware at that moment that we are disengaging with the investment in the stuff, with the investment in this false identity. And it happens let the Course do it. Let the mind do it. Don't do anything. That's part of learning. I need do nothing. Let the Course do it. Let the mind do all the work for you. And then it really works. At every single forgiveness exercise, Every time you step back, I love that lesson. I will step back and let him lead the way. A lesson that can really change your whole inner journey if you're open to that. And going above the battleground, the quiet center. There are so many. Oh, the holy instant. I love the holy instant. Um, Learning to be quiet now. And every time you are disengaging with the identification, and there's no doer. It happens because you're going back to your natural being. You don't have to do anything. The doer is just down here playing it around in ego land here. And okay, but you're up there now. And that makes such a whole difference. And then if I could just mention two incidents that really helped me along with that.
Please,
One
yeah.
was from Ken Wapnick, when the first time I heard him talk about the puppet and the puppet player. And I thought, wow, he was describing that the body is neutral, but our thoughts are not neutral, but our thoughts are always coming from the mind. So if you can see yourself like a marionette, like a puppet, and who's pulling the strings? And okay, I guess you know that story. Many people listening would know that also, but you have one of those aha moments. It hits home.
Mm.
It hits home that really, okay, yes, the body is neutral, but my thoughts are not neutral. It has to sink in at a certain point.
Mm.
And I think everyone will have that experience at a certain point, that turning moment, that turning point. So that helped me very much to start realizing, okay, I'm starting to get it. We're starting to get it. Okay, Holy Spirit, thank you for this. And then another one was a Dutch teacher. His name is Koos Janssen. And he was in the translating group for 9 years. And I think it was 2018, and he gave a workshop. And there were 200 people. And he said, well, let's talk about the chairs. He said, you're not sitting on the chair. You, big letters you are all-encompassing love. All-encompassing love is not sitting on the chair. No. There's a body sitting on the chair. Yes, there is a body sitting on the chair. But you are dreaming of this body. You are the dreamer of the dream. And when he made that distinction, that was another great big penny and aha moment for me, that I was sitting here and, you whelm up with tears in your eyes just because it hits home. It has meaning. It resonates. Mm-hmm. And you think, wow, now I can go further with this. Yeah. And then he went on to say, okay, and then that body sitting there on the chair thinking, oh, what is this now? Where am I? What's going on? I have pain. I have worries. I have fear. But then comes the Holy Spirit and says, well, we look at the pain and we look at the worries and we look at the fears. And that is such an important part of the journey of no longer identifying with the pain and the worries and the fears. We look at them. And then all of a sudden, the beautiful description of forgiveness, it does nothing. It looks and it waits, and judges not. And you can read that 200 times. And then by 201, finally, you start to understand what's being said. And then you're practicing it, and and it goes together, and it just kind of, something happens in the mind, and it just clicks. And those are those beautiful moments, and that helps so much then on the journey then to become more right-minded.
Mm. Beautiful. It also puts a lot of emphasis on unlearning, doesn't it?
Unlearning.
Mm.
How's that going for you in your journey?
Yeah, for me, I'm enjoying what I use a scientific term a lot, reductionism, and use that in what it means to me is like a simplification of, like, I've had to learn all of this information to keep reducing it down to just a simple practice, so that I can learn to experience the moment without overlaying my interpretation of meaning, so that I let all things be exactly as they are, and to see no distinctions and differences between what arises, Um, Sometimes, as we know, that's much easier than it can be at other times. But when it's not as easy, there's the evidence for where the challenge is to grow into. And it's in my nature, always has been, to enjoy being progressive. So I've learned to be grateful for my triggers, because they show me the next bit of space to move into with the forgiveness. But there's definitely, at the moment, there's like an emphasis on even terminology and descriptions and words, and gratitude for what they've pointed me towards, and then a conscious acknowledgement of not wanting to hold on to those pointers. So sometimes I'll use the analogy of standing in front of a sign that says the beach that way. You know, how long are you going to stand there going, oh, right, the beach is over there, is it? Before you actually go to the beach, and be grateful that the sign showed you where the beach is, and then go to the beach. So, yeah, I think at the moment I'm definitely focusing on discarding everything and just experiencing all things that crop up, and trying to find that universal uniformity to everything, whether or not it's something that you'd consider to be super exciting, or whether it's something that could be described as quite mundane. It's like if you go beyond those differences and just think that everything's the same, then that kind of helps you to tap in with the changelessness of what's the underlying substrate to all the things that appear to be different. And then I'm taking that into music as well. So I have a way of playing the guitar, which is where I have to be poised with my own ear, listening to what notes are going to come through the guitar and through my fingers. And if I find that way of positioning my awareness like that, and like a couple of nights ago, just the word, like you were saying, one word, preparation, just the word listen,
Yeah.
just going listen, listen. And I was playing something that was new to me. And I was listening to these notes presenting themselves and aware of how my fingers were moving. And then when I accepted this word listen, I could then hear, almost coming out of the shadows, getting bigger and more present, was a vocal melody. And it's like there's the singing to put on top of the guitar. And I was like, oh wow. So then I started singing that over the guitar, and they just went together like this. And I was like, hello, friend.
Beautiful. Yeah. I also love music. I was a musician my whole life. I played the violoncello. I studied at a conservatory. I gave lessons for 25 years on the cello until things changed in my life, and then I had to stop. Okay, but that's a different story. But I love music, and I love to. I'm not going to sing because my voice is getting too old now. But I sing the course every single day because I have at least 300 course songs. And I love them all, and I love to sing. When I'm cooking, I'm singing. When I'm under the shower, I'm singing. When I'm driving, I'm singing, because when driving, I'm always saying, "Hey, Holy Spirit, we're in the drive-in movie. Let's sing a nice song." And I love music, yeah, and I can feel that when something's developing through the music, and
Mm,
the music tells us quite a lot,
mm,
really, quite a
mm.
lot. It's a beautiful language.
And universal.
And a universal language, definitely.
But
Yeah.
what I'm getting there from your sharing is like that you have, the connection with joy
Yeah.
is the inspiration to sing through all of those different events.
Yeah.
If you're not in joy, then you're not going to sing when you're doing the washing up or the cooking or driving.
Yeah, I know.
And that's just like, that's
Yeah.
the childlike natural state, isn't it? To just be joyful and just blown away by how amazing everything is.
Yeah, I have this little picture when I shut off my video. I'll just let it show you. There she is. There's my child.
Lovely.
She has her little teddy bear with her, and she's very curious and she's very playful, and she enjoys many things. And there's some kind of inner joy that started a few years ago, and it hasn't stopped. It just hasn't stopped.
Mm.
It's beautiful. But you were talking about reduction, and when you said the word reduction, I thought about, for me, it's more, I say generalize.
Mm.
To generalize, when Jesus says there's only love or fear.
Mm.
And fear is one of those umbrella words, and you've made I don't know how many things. Because we can make it so difficult. I don't remember which lesson that is when he said, you've given thousands of names to everything without realizing that each name is another symbol of separation. Names, 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 names. And when he says that everything is based on fear or guilt, then you hear another course student say, but I'm angry. I'm not fearful, I'm angry. So they're making the separation again real. So, and I was looking at today's lesson. It's another good example of generalization.
Mm.
Today is, there is no death. The Son of God is free. In the first paragraph, he says, you don't recognize death yet. And he mentions all kinds of things of fears and separations and lack of things and anxiety and jealousy. And I remember when I first read that, maybe, I don't know how many years ago, I thought it was an awful paragraph. But I can read it today and say, yeah, this is generalization. There's love or fear, and there's death or life. And he wants us to understand how we keep death going, how we keep the separation well and going by believing in all of these separate little things that we have invented ourselves. And so I like that word generalize. When
Mm.
I try to keep that very simple. Love or fear, death or life, ego or Holy Spirit, that's all. Yeah.
But don't you think that when things are, what was it? There's an Einstein phrase that I like to refer to where he says, if you can't explain something simply, then you don't understand it well enough.
Okay, that's a good one. I didn't know that. No. Okay.
So, to be able to generalize, to make the reduction,
The reduction. Yeah. Yeah.
then that simplicity is the product of lots of learning, isn't it? And lots of
Yeah.
investigation to make it, not to make it, but to acknowledge the simplicity again
Yeah. Yeah.
that was present when we were children, because when we were children, we were just experiencing being connected to our imaginations, seeing things as they are,
Yeah.
as we imagine them to be. And that journey into adulthood, it's like having a beautiful bush and trimming everything off and trying to, it's like, no, just let it all go and grow. Mm.
And just growing up to be very good egos, not knowing anything was going on, not understanding anything. But then, I don't know if you had that, but when I can look back when there was a little Myra and things were going sometimes very wrong or very scary,
Mm.
there was something there. I always felt there's something, I don't know what it is. And that something, it's like it's saving me at that moment. I don't even know. And
Mm.
then there was a teenage Myra, and she had the same experience again. Things were going really bad, but something was always there, and I didn't know what it was. I
Mm.
had no interest in spirituality or anything. It was only when I started with the course and I got to chapter 5, and he introduced the Holy Spirit. I sat here crying. I said, it was you all the time. You've been with me always. And I didn't know, and now I have a name for you. And it's always very emotional that you're there, you're always there, you've never not been there.
Mm.
And now I have a name for you, so hello, welcome. It was really, yeah.
That's
Oh,
beautiful.
even when little Myra, 5 years old, the Holy Spirit was there, but I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
And I love that, yeah. I'm
Wow.
so grateful
That's really
for the
powerful.
Holy Spirit, yeah. Yeah.
That's really powerful, being able to give a name to that presence. You
Yeah.
know, I watched a documentary of a sportsman that I'm really fond of a couple of weeks ago, and people thought he was very arrogant when he turned up on the stage. And he said this one thing, which has been speaking to me for a couple of weeks now. And he said, he always felt like someone was watching over him. And then he realized that when you expect things to be simple, they become simpler. When you expect things to go well, they go well. And I was like, I love that. And I've seen it in practice already within a couple of weeks. It's like it dovetailed in beautifully with my course study of just a really powerful reminder. Again, really simple. And maybe that's in keeping with what I was describing is happening at the moment. It's just like the language is really simple and as little language as possible, and just experience. And through expecting things to go well and expecting things to be easy, they become easy. They are easy because the world is a outward picture of an inner condition.
Definitely.
But to understand that reversal,
No.
after we've had it drilled into us for our whole lives, that's actually the other way round.
Mm.
And because the mind works so quickly, why would you not think that the cause for your change of mindset is outside yourself, not inside? So I know you love your journey through the workbook
Yeah.
books as well. Is the one that you're looking at the moment in particular?
No, no, it just whatever comes up. There's nothing in particular. That's just no. But I just wanted to my train of thought. What was it just now? Oh yeah, about expecting that beautiful story you just shared. Very powerful. That reminds me of two sections in the course, which I use and I love and I appreciate. The one is setting the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Setting the goal. Oh, hey, he's beautiful. Mm.
Needs to be involved. When you heard a rumor that when two or more join.
Okay. Okay. Uh, yeah, well, setting the goal is also, it falls into place with the powerful thoughts you were just sharing that the Holy Spirit says you can, with me together, what what do you want to happen? Set the goal with me. And then it's not an earthly goal, it's not a material goal, it's not a dualistic goal. It's more like, well, let's have holy encounters. Let's join. Let's have compassion for our brothers and sisters. Let's just look through your vision, Holy Spirit. Look through me. And you can set the goal for these things all the time. And that works. That's very powerful. I do that a lot. And then there was also, well, I learned that from Kate Greaves, Rules for Decision. She's Mrs. Rules for Decision. She's posting it every day. And it was about 6 years ago when I thought, well, I'm going to start that. And my first attempt failed. I hated it. I thought, you have to get used to the course too. The second attempt went a little better, but after a while, it kept coming back, and Kate kept coming back. And I said, okay, now I'm going to commit to Rules for Decision. And it's the same. It wasn't, I was still busy on the earthly level, so I had to go above the battleground. And also, what happened was, that was really the starting point of a very beautiful internal relationship with the Holy Spirit. The rules for the decision really helped develop my trust to what it is today. Total trust, really. And Kate's way of describing that, to visualize everything also. Visualize that together with the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
And the way that works is, it's beyond words. You can have such beautiful experiences.
Mm. And it's no idle dream.
It's no idle dream. No,
Mm.
no, no.
Yes, my wife was sharing a bit of details from a text message with her and her best friend yesterday, and they were joking about difficulties and then sort of saying back to trust and surrender.
Mm.
And I just thought, wow, isn't that again probably in keeping with this theme at the moment for everything to be really, really simple, to expect things to be easy and to just have a couple of camps, like you were saying earlier, just love or fear, ego or Holy Spirit, and just resistance or surrender and trust. Just it's really powerful to be simple, and
Yeah.
it's not everybody's go-to setting, because the ego will tell us that we need to be really complex and everything needs to be really detailed, because it needs to have a soapbox to stand on and chatter away at, because it's trying to obscure the perfect oneness of everything and affirm itself. But if we incorporate the course, sort of say, truth needs no defense, truth can be silent. Truth can just be present and silent, because it doesn't need to rush around affirming itself, because it is, and it always will be, and it always has been. And if we resist, then we experience tension, friction, unease. If we surrender and trust, we just dissolve into everything.
That's what I also love about the Happy Learners, that section. And that's why I call the group also the Happy Learners.
Excellent.
Because the truth is true and nothing else is true. And nothing else besides it exists. And the Holy Spirit says, this is the most difficult lesson you will ever learn. The truth is true, because this is a very difficult lesson for confused minds. And your mind is very confused. But then he teaches us, he says, there's a beautiful prayer on that page where actually the Holy Spirit invites us, which is so beautiful, because through the whole course, Jesus was always saying, you invite the Holy Spirit. He comes on your welcome. But then in the Happy Learners section, he says, come to me, trust me, give it to me, let me guide you. It's a beautiful prayer. So he's inviting us. And then he says, and then I'll teach you that this lesson that you think is very difficult, it's going to be the easiest one you ever learned, because you're going to live it. You will teach it and learn it. You will teach it again, and you will learn it deeper and deeper, and you will keep on teaching it until you believe it.
Wow.
And that's so beautiful. And then there's the preparation to be the happy learners that he says in the beginning of that section. First, you have to admit that you're miserable. Please tell me that you're totally miserable and unhappy. It's terrible, it's awful. And admit it and come to me now with open hands. And I love that. That's beautiful, because I use this example sometimes in the groups also, that everybody has to have their very own personal Helen Schuckman and Bill Thetford moment. That you just step back and you say, there must be another way. This can't be it. This can't be life. This can't be the meaning. There must be another way. And when you say that, that's the invitation to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
That's it. You walk into the right mind and you say, finally, there is another way. And that's what I love about that section. And there's much more in there that, yeah.
Do,
We look at a few sentences every week, and then I go on with something else. Yeah.
perfect. Do you see like a theme to things that the students bring up in the groups? Is there one particular step that people have difficulty with, or
Yeah. When Jesus says in so many lessons, your thoughts do not mean anything. They are
mm,
not even your thoughts.
mm,
And please don't believe them, don't listen to them.
mm,
And I think I see that everybody can say that. They keep listening to the ego
mm,
and very deeply.
mm,
And then it hurts. Then it's very painful because then you're right here. You're on the horizontal timeline. You're on the battleground. Jesus calls it a battleground.
mm,
Sometimes it's good just to realize, why does he call that? Because it's filled with battles. Everything is battling here. This is not life. This is a battleground.
mm.
And it's the playground of the ego. So that's what I see happening the most. But all you can do is share and give and say, well, there's another way to look at it. But everyone has to come to that point themselves in their own time and their own tempo. And you can't do that for anyone else. Like Jesus says, I can't do it for you. I can show you the way, but it's your choice. You are a very powerful mind. You are a very powerful decision maker. Please never underestimate the power of your thoughts and never underestimate the power of decision. Everything depends on that. Everything that you'll experience will depend on your power of decision. And he keeps telling us that in thousands of different ways until we believe it and we take the step back and we welcome it. And then everything changes. It's like what Keith Kavanaugh says also, once you're up there, then the journey begins. You thought you were journeying? No, once you get to that point, then the real journey begins. And I can agree with that because then forgiveness, at first it was a chore. It was something I was being told, forgive this, practice this 5 minutes a day, do this, do that. And then that changes. Luckily, that transforms over the years. And now, forgiveness is a privilege.
Oh, I love that.
Forgiveness is a privilege.
Wow.
For my mind now realizes, what am I doing? What am I doing? I am forgiving the blocks to the presence of to love's presence. I am helping every day. It's my privilege, as good as I can each day, to contribute to the healing of the mind, to fill up that little gap that doesn't really exist. And then you just realize at a certain point, but what am I doing? I'm healing me. I am the mind. I am mind. I'm healing me. It's my privilege that we heal. And that gap, I always use my hands a lot, that there's a wrong mind and there's a right mind. And the gap makes the split, the separation. And we seem to be living in the gap.
Wow.
The whole life seems to be playing itself off again and again and again in the gap. So with forgiveness, because Jesus describes that the Holy Spirit is building a bridge, and he's building it with forgiveness. So every forgiveness exercise that I do, every time I'm practicing the holy instant and above the battleground and stepping back, that the bridge is growing, forgiveness, until finally there's no more split mind. And then the mind is totally healed. And for me, that is how I define the real world. There are many interpretations of the real world, but for me, it's like this, that the gap has been closed through forgiveness, and there's no split mind. And that it's
Absolutely
a
brilliant.
privilege to work. This is the only goal here in the dream. Yeah,
Mm.
my privilege to work on the bridge.
Wow, that's absolutely brilliant. I love that. Forgiveness is my privilege. I wanted to say it all the time while I was listening to you. Forgiveness is my privilege
Yeah, yeah,
and builds the bridge.
yeah. Builds the bridge. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
And then no stone will be left unturned once you make that commitment.
No, no, no.
With the invitation to defer rather than usurp.
Yeah.
And that re-identification of learning who you really are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why on this course you really need infinite patience and total trust. Those are two aspects that we use in Holland very, very much. Infinite patience, total trust. These are not just words, these are aspects of the right mind. These are elements of our truth. You can make it part of you, that you can apply them every time. The infinite patience, total trust. Because in forgiveness has to wait and not judge. I realized in my journey I was very bad at waiting. Especially in the beginning years, because we're growing up in this instant society here. The ego has everything, You order it on the internet, tomorrow it's in house. It's like, well, I think I'll order a package of peace, and tomorrow I'll receive my box full of peace. Well, it doesn't work that way. So sometimes with some forgiveness exercises, you have to wait. And the ego is very impatient, and that's why infinite patience is a beautiful characteristic from the right mind, and that also works for the total trust, because when your patience will be rewarded, and then you will learn to trust. And it's just so beautiful. So we use those expressions very, very much. It comes from one of those Dutch teachers again. He started that years ago, and we just keep applying it over every week, all the time. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you ask what are the problems that people have, they don't have patience and they don't have trust. And even though you can say there is no guilt, they still feel guilty because they keep listening to that voice, listening to the ego's voice, which is another one of the mottos that I adopted from the Course, where he says also, never feel guilty because you're learning. Never feel guilty because you are learning. And remember this, please remember this. He says it's very important because the guiltless learner can learn so easily. He says that in chapter 14 somewhere. So I'm always repeating that every week. And then it just takes 5 minutes and there's another guilty, guilt is coming up. But I feel so guilty. But I can't remember my lessons and I'm a terrible student. And I say, and we all go through that. We all go through that. And you can't solve that for anyone. You can just extend your love and say, okay, what you're dreaming, in thoughts then, not in words, with your thought, what you're dreaming is not true. But I'm supporting the love that you truly are. And I'm seeing only your innocence and your holiness now. And I can just say the words that no, we don't have to feel guilty because we're learning. What we're learning now, we never expected to learn this. No one, I don't think anyone really expected the radical messages of this course. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. And who can fail to trust once that you see the evidence when you give things over, and that then creates this circle of the development of trust and the increase of peace and happiness because you're experiencing it. And then you can look on the things that you thought were really heavy and dark and serious and just see them as just nothing and laugh. Don't try and stamp them out. Don't try and close the curtains and just let them be the nothingness that they are.
Yeah.
Because you've learned what you actually are by learning, by being reminded of your true reality and your true identity.
Yeah.
Then you can look on what you're not without
Yeah.
any guilt, without any fear.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You can actually love the ego. You can just sort of go, okay, scared little voice, I can see why you're so scared because you think you're separate from everything. That would be terrifying.
No.
Mm.
And something else that I come across quite a lot is also that level confusion, which is why I like to use the first sentence many times. Nothing real can be threatened. And really understand that we really talk about that. Nothing real can be threatened. God is, and God is, it's His perfect, it's creation. We're there, we're home. So here, we're just trying to wake up from a dream
Mm.
because so many still believe I have to become worthy of God's love.
Mm.
I have to achieve something to make God happy. I have to do this right now to please. And these are all level confusion. So I always go back to, but nothing real can be happened. These are ego traps.
Mm.
Trying to achieve something for the ego. It's not for God. You don't have to achieve anything for God. God is perfect. You're at home. So that's something also, if you ask, where do I come across a lot? That's another thing, that level confusion, that really believing that the ego really does a job on all of us. I have to become worthy. I'm a sinner. I'm a very bad person. Oh, wow. So, yeah. So we all have to go through that in our own way. And what can we do? Those who want to share their joy, just keep saying, well, it's not what you think. There is another way. And nothing real can be threatened. And those are sentences I keep repeating. Nothing real can be threatened. Never feel guilty. Infinite patience, total trust. And then sometimes, after a few months, I hear those words coming back. Ah, okay, it's starting to resonate. And I think, well, that's the Holy Spirit does that. I can only just present whatever's coming through me, and I don't know how it's going to go. I have no idea. And every now and then something comes back, and all I do is I say, oh, thank you. Thank you. Something
Forgiveness
happened.
is my privilege. That's made me think of something John Mundy said to me when he was talking about Jesus on the cross. And Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." And John said, "Do you think Jesus actually said that on God's behalf?"
No, yeah, no, no.
So I didn't realize you had such a strong connection with Kate as well. That's really nice. I think Kate played a big part. So a large percentage of my journey so far with the material was spent on my own. And then when I looked on the internet during COVID and found that there was other people who knew about the course and it wasn't just me, um, Kate was one of those first people that I found, like as a handful of people. Um, and I think I really appreciated her honesty in terms of like she wasn't trying to be like some ascended master or anything. She was just explaining what her experience had been like at ground level. And I also really loved the emphasis that she put on like the first 20 or maybe as many as 50, but certainly the first 20 lessons in the workbook. And I always see that as not a qualification as such, because that would be almost, you could think of that as a judgment, but just something that speaks to me when somebody puts a lot of emphasis. Like Dove will always say, the whole course is wrapped up in those first two lessons. And the same thing with the first 20. It's like, I think I was talking to someone recently saying you could almost have a group or a course that just went round and round with those first sort of 20 lessons, such is the impact. Um, because when you come back to them, when you've done the workbook and you come back to the start again, and I always like to use the analogy of like being in a museum and you're looking at a statue and there's 365 points around that statue that you can stand at, look at the same statue from a different angle with a different light being cast on it, but it's the same statue. Um, and when you come back to those very first lessons, and you just realize how powerful they are and how fundamental they are in unlocking the ego identity, and how they have to be presented to you initially in a way that's completely unthreatening. Because if you actually took on the first time you looked at that, you took on the magnitude of nothing I see means anything, compared to like 30 odd years later when you can be driving along and just going, nothing I see means anything, just like light-hearted sort of reflection of what that actually says, rather than initially be just completely terrifying to actually believe that first time round when you're new to it.
Yeah. Oh, I had some lovely experiences with the first 50 lessons. It was about 6 years ago. This body became very ill, very, very ill. Heavy medicines, all kinds of things, blah, blah, blah. It was a great time for the course, really. Another course student shared with me how to use the first 50 lessons to go through a meditation to learn about the sickness. And so we did it together, and like, well, nothing I see about this sickness means anything. Nothing, sickness does not mean anything. Oh, I have given it all the meaning. I have given sickness a meaning too, but wait a second, these thoughts about sickness, they don't mean anything. And you keep going, oh, but there is another way to look at these sickness thoughts and these feelings. And then you get to the other part, but my holiness, there's holiness here also, but holiness is not sick. Oh, wait a second, holiness is not sick. Oh, and you go through that, and then you get to the last, from 40 to 50 with all the God lessons. And then it was so amazing. The first time we did it together, she did it with me. And by the time I got to 45 or 50, there was no pain. Totally free. After the exercise, when the thoughts came back, the pain came back. And that really was a beautiful lesson. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I even shared this not so long ago, about a half year ago. We did it in two of the groups over unworthiness.
Mm.
The ego really did a job on everybody saying that everybody is unworthy. I mean, 99% of Earth's people here, everybody is unworthy. So the ego did a job on everybody. And so we would do that with unworthiness, that nothing I see is unworthy.
Wow.
But I've given meaning to unworthiness. And the same way, just keep on going. That we had Zoom sessions that really, I was very touched that it brought about tears of release.
Mm.
We went through that lesson by lesson, that you're not unworthy. You've been believing a lie. You've been believing a thought that doesn't exist. As they say in the Happy Learners section, you have been deceived by nothingness. Nothingness. I love that word, nothingness. Yeah, that can be very helpful. So those first 50 lessons, Leon, yes, I agree. They are the foundation of the course. I love them all. I love to share them in different ways. Yeah.
That's a brilliant teaching device. I've never thought of that. And, you know, if you think you could insert whatever it is that's particularly
What is it? Yeah.
causing you an obstacle, just
Yeah.
insert that word, go
Is
through
it
those.
anger? Is it guilt?
Yeah.
Is it fear? What is it? And just go through the lessons. You don't have to do all 50. Just
Mm.
do with it, and see what happens in your mind. See what's
Mm.
going to change now. See how you're going to feel after you've done some of these exercises.
Mm.
I think it's a beautiful experience. I was very grateful, and I keep on sharing it. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, really powerful.
Yeah.
You've got some great tricks up your sleeve.
Well, I'll show you one more. It helped me all through the years. I don't use it that much anymore, but I do show it to other people. It only cost 99 cents, and it was the best part of my therapy that I ever had. Are you ready for this? I would sit here behind my computer and I would be reading things on Facebook and I would start, oh, temptation, wait a second, I'm getting involved. What is this? I would put on my notes. Okay, now, Holy Spirit, let's read it differently now. I can really advise it, 99 cents, you'll never regret it. Just use it when you need it. It's wonderful.
I might speak to Laura at the foundation and suggest that they start sticking one on the cover of all the new Course in Miracles books that are on sale. Comes with a free clown nose.
Free clown, yeah. It's really very helpful, yeah.
Speaking of very helpful, that was truly helpful, Myra. There's so many lovely things in there. I can see why Spirit uses you to the extent that it does, because there's a load of gifts there. It's really lovely. And I've got a lot of takeaways, a lot of things to think about there, as I'm sure everybody else will as well.
For me, every time I get to share, giving and receiving is one and the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I'm allowed to give and to share, it's coming. We're healing our mind. It's okay. That's how we heal our mind.
And we can see where we're up to with the healing based upon what's reflected back at us.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you want to know where you're up to or where you're at in the moment, take note of the way you're experiencing the present moment.
Yeah.
Is it testifying to a connection with everything, to the love, or is it suggesting that you have momentarily lost perspective? And if you can be really kind with yourself about that and not put any seriousness upon it and just see it as just an error, just a tiny little error that can be ignored because nothing real can be threatened. Truth needs no defense. My holiness envelops everything I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we can bypass any feelings of guilt or shame or whatever it is that seems to support this idea that you've gone off your path, you don't know what anything's for, from an ego point of view, rather than to be able to say, I don't know what anything is for, with Spirit at the helm.
Yes. And in keeping it simple, there's one sentence from Jesus, I use that often also. He says very simply, how do you feel? Does it get any simpler?
No.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
Feel. What are you feeling? Is it peace? Okay, fine, wonderful. If it's not peace, oh, are you willing to bring it to me?
And if you're not sure about anything, always ask, is your will in accord with mine?
Yes. Oh, yes. I love that. That sentence stayed with me. When I read that, I don't know how many years ago, and it stayed with me and stayed with me. And I kept thinking, what am I supposed to ask? What am I asking? What am I doing? I was also very confused for many years. But that has developed now, and I do that every day, all through the day. It's not an asking anymore. You can get busy, like now we're talking and everything, and after this, I'll just get quiet for a moment. There are no words, there's no asking, and there are no thoughts. I'll just connect. And I do this many times during the day because life will catch up with you and you get busy doing things. Oh, wait a second, what's going on here? Remember, Jesus wants me to ask him, okay, I'm here. And I love that because it has developed now. There are no words. There's no questions. There were no thoughts. Sometimes I can even go a whole minute or so, no thoughts or so. And I love that. And I do that as much as possible.
I'm not surprised. Pause for love was the thing that came to mind when you were talking.
Yeah.
Pause for love. And, how fascinating that that absence of the little self is what gives us access to
Yeah.
the one self.
Yes.
The truth reveals itself in paradox.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, beautiful.
Before we round it, I don't think we mentioned that it's really a mind training course.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is for the mind. Jesus is always talking to the mind. That's also an important part of reading what we're reading. Try and read with the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Take off the ego glasses, where the yous and the me's and the I's. It's all the mind. And it's always the decision making part of the mind. And then one last comment. Then when he says, I am responsible for what I think and see and feel, yes, but not as a person. The person decides nothing. It's never personal. The level of the mind, the decision maker is deciding everything. Take responsibility as the mind that you are, and you will have a whole different experience here in your dream. Totally different. Yeah.
And again, you couldn't put that angle on it without having had the learned experience of reducing it,
Yeah.
the preparation.
Preparation.
There must be another way experience.
Yeah.
All of those steps are essential. The resistance, the surrender, the trust, the resistance, the surrender, the trust.
Mm.
All essential. Everything's fine. And
Yeah. If you know Star Trek, then you know resistance is futile.
yeah, exactly. Fantastic. Well,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know how long we've been talking for, but thank you so much that we could have this beautiful chat together and share
Mm.
our experiences and our joy and our love and our transformation. I love it. Thank you so much, Leon. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you too. Yeah, absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. And like I said, there's a lot to take away from that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Myra, dank je wel. Hartelijk bedankt.
I love your Dutch. Thank you. Ja. Graag gedaan. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you. Yeah.
Graag gedaan. Ja.
Tot straks.
Tot straks, ja, on Facebook. Okay.
Indeed.
Thank you. Thank
Be
you.
well.
Okay. You also be well.